On this episode, she's back. Self-storage CPA Magen Smith. I'm Jim Ross. He's Matt VanHorn. And this is 3 Mile Domination, where we talk about anything and everything regarding the world of self-storage. Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross from the 3 Mile Domination Show, and this is episode number 25. And we got a recurring guest here. We got Magen Smith, self-storage CPA. We had her on before and loved it. Wanted to have you back, and now we got even better internet connection. So this will be this will be good. Anyway, for the people that maybe didn't see the first time we had you on, maybe just give a quick introduction and what you do.
So, hi, thanks for having me again. My name is Magen Smith. I call myself self-storage CPA. So I started as a manager of a self-storage facility. It's probably been years now. But I did that for 2 years and loved it. I left, I went and get my CPA license and worked at a couple of public firms to get all my experience. And then I started my own business. So now I focus just on self-storage facilities and owners and helping them basically make more money and enjoy their life more. So I have courses, I do auditing, I do accounting for people, training, anything to make the operations run better.
Great. Yeah. It's a great niche. Sometimes I'll tell people what I do in self-storage. They're like, storage, huh? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, but no, it's a great industry. So I'm glad to have you be a part of it here. But anyway, we kind of brushed on a little bit last time we talked. I want to go a little more detail. But when you're doing these audits, of course, it's part of the industry, and it's part of, I think, of any industry really, but when it comes to storage, there's one or two people are managing the property, and you're so dependent on those managers to do their job, which 99% are doing a great job, but you get some unethical, dishonest people that are going and embezzling and skimming some money, and of course doing your audits, you're finding those out and bringing it up to the owners on what's going on. So I thought you can kind of just talk a little bit about today of some of the ways that you've seen people embezzling and what owners and operators can do to help minimize that risk.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've never met an owner that hasn't experienced some level of theft, which is really sad. But it's true. So it's something that's huge. We need to be aware of it, and we definitely need to have some safeguards around it. So one of the ways, it was one of my accounting customers, actually. I was doing their accounting, and they had a new manager, had a little bit of an awkward feeling about her. But what she was doing was taking one of the rentable units, and she was turning it unrentable, and then putting it back as rentable and turning it unrentable. And that's something I track every month. I track, total occupancy, move in, move out, to make sure the occupancy stays, the math makes sense. If you had 10, you added 5, you lost 2, the math should make sense.
Yep.
And I check the unrentable units each time and the total units, because your total units should not change unless you physically build more or add a parking spot.
Sure.
And I noticed it a few months, and I called the owner and I said, look, I kind of suspect something's going on. Do you want me to dig? He said, no, just ask her what she's doing. All right. So I asked her, and she made up some excuse. So I told him, and I said, I kind of don't believe her. Do you want me to dig further?
Yep.
Yeah, and he said, no, don't worry about it. Turns out it was a parking spot. She made it unrentable. There was a camper there, and she was pocketing that money. So once she left or got fired, whatever happened to her, they had a camper that had no tenant information. They didn't know who owned it. There was no lease sign for it. It's a titled vehicle.
Nightmare.
They had no idea. So it was a big deal. It turned into a big deal. So he should have listened to me and let me investigate it.
Yeah. I've always said, and again, unfortunately, I've come across it, plenty of times too. But as soon as you get that feeling,
that little,
something's up, and you start investigating, dig further. But once you first get that first inkling of something a little off, 9 times out of 10, something's going on.
Yeah, something's off. And a simple fix to that would be have somebody, not your manager. So either you as the owner, a consultant like you or I, somebody else that knows what to look for, that's not the manager, take the map, take the rent roll, take the walkthrough, whatever report you choose to do that lists your tenants that are paying you, and walk around the building and make sure A1 is rented, A1 has a lock, A2 is, late, A2 has an overlock. So you basically just take the information from your storage management system and look at your property and make sure it matches. It would have been a simple solution. I went to Los Angeles and I was auditing a management company, and we're riding around. They had this property a year and a half, and we see a unit that has no number, but it has a lock. And the manager goes, "How did I never notice this?"
Oh, geez.
And I'm like,
yeah.
come on. And the district manager was supposed to be, doing the audit as well.
Yeah. Yeah, a simple walkthrough, and not just catching those kind of things, but just a simple walkthrough saves so much pain and anguish.
Look, is it dirty? Is your gutter overflowing? Is your concrete broken? Is your just look around as a normal. I mean, I'm not a contractor. I'm not getting on the roof or anything, but I have eyes and I'm using them, and so do you.
And also just to that point of going unrentable and rentable and making those adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
If your software is any good, most of them are going to have those kind of parameters that you can set when it comes to what the user rights are going to be for the manager, relief manager, regional. And that's one thing I do stress of, making those kind of changes. That should be just the regional managers or owners' rights. And then when you're doing your meetings, or they can send an email or some sort of saying, okay, now it's time to take that off that unit mix and change that. They do it, not the manager, because that's another easy way of click of a button to change those rights.
Yes. And I also don't like when I see the company units. Every company has some supply units, box units, whatever. I don't like when I see those as unrentable, because there's no real paper trail on anything. I like to have them moved in. And I've seen it two ways, and I don't know which way I like better. I've seen it as you move them in under the company name and you put their rent at 0. So it is a variance on the rent roll. I also saw it that you move them in as the company name, their rent is normal market, but there's a discount plan that says company units as a discount.
Yeah. I personally hate the discount part of it, but that's just me. I see the value, and I think it depends on which way you want to go. I prefer 0 rent and have a variance, and then you have a strong number of how much money am I losing each month? Exactly.
Because I'm taking up all these units.
Yep.
Yeah. Unrentable is not the way to do it, though.
The most I've ever seen for a site that had company units, and I'm not joking, was 35. And half of those were the owners of just his crap he put in there. And you guys are we're full. No, you're not.
I know. I have a customer now that it's a partnership. So the managing partners annoyed at the other partners because they have all these unrentable units, and they're like, okay, we're full now. We need to tame this beast. But that's a whole other topic, not auditing for sure.
So what else have you seen as far as
the biggest thing I can tell, and people don't do this every day and it drives me crazy, is when you do your accounting, and you absolutely should be doing your accounting, tie your storage management system to your accounting. People will just go from their bank account, like if they use QuickBooks Online, they just reconcile what comes through the feed. You're missing so much information. So you actually need to look at your deposits from your management system, and if you got $100 in cash on the first, you look at your bank. Did $100 in cash get deposited on the first, second, third?
Sure.
The checks, make it match. Credit cards, make it match. Because you know what your manager can do? On the first, they can credit on the credit card software to their personal card, and you'd never notice that little bit of money missing because you had a big lump of credit cards come in. So definitely make sure. I've seen people do that as well, where they just pocket the cash. So tie your, and people, it's so rare I see the software tied to the bank, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. That doesn't happen very often. Usually they just go right off of what the bank statement says into their accounting software. That's it.
Yeah, because you can't, so deposits need to be grouped by day. So whatever came in on the first needs to be on the deposit slip for that day, no more, no less. So that way it makes it easy for you. That's the first easy way. And then there's always going to be timing differences. Stuff's going to come in on the 1st. That was last month's money. Stuff isn't on the 31st. That's next month's money. So you either need to have a paper, like manual recap, where you count 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3,
Mm-hmm.
or some customers, I just type in once a week, I sit and type in their deposits into their accounting system and reconcile it that way.
Yeah.
I do it different ways. And then some accrual people, I just have a manual off the record recap. But yeah, you have to do that step because
And
it's just,
I
you
want to
and I
hammer
already
that
see
home real
it.
quick because again, that's a pet peeve of mine, and that's something
Hmm.
so easy. But I want to nail this home, and that comes to when doing your deposits. And I've
Hmm.
seen, okay, well, it was just a small amount of cash, and they lump in that deposit and do 2 or 3 days worth in one deposit.
Hmm.
Yeah, when you're doing your reconciliation, you can look and see, okay, those 3 days add up to that. That's more
Hmm.
work for you, and you will miss some things. So yeah, I
Hmm.
don't care if it's $25 that day, that deposit slip,
Yes.
accountable. I mean,
Yes.
that's just doing that one simple thing that will help tremendously in seeing something's a little bit off. So never,
Yeah.
never, never combine your days in one deposit. That's
Yeah. Because that manager could have pocketed the $25 and then paid it back 3 days later and deposited it, right? If they
yeah,
wanted to. I
yeah,
mean, you can float things around so easily. Yeah, I even saw one girl, she was in, is this wrong or not? But it wasn't known. She was taking her family's payroll checks and cashing them for her family through because she had the check machine in the office and
sure.
she was giving them cash. So the cash was lower and the checks were higher. The money matched, but it just wasn't right. So we told her, I was like, you need to stop. You're not a bank. Like, what are you doing? They
Yeah,
can go to the
exactly.
bank.
Yep.
Yeah, so you have to tie, I tie cash, I tie checks, I tie credit cards.
Yep.
And then the total of the day needs to match what went in the bank account. And people don't do that. And also close your day at the end of the day. Have the manager count the cash, make sure it matches the system, write it on the deposit slip. Count the checks, make sure it matches, write it. Log into the credit card, make sure that's what was
Yeah.
totaled up for the day, and then close the day. Because once you close the day, you can't go back and delete a payment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So close the day.
And it's just being consistent with it.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
And
Yeah, I see that.
I'm sure you've seen this one because I've seen this one quite a bit as well. And inventory issues.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah.
what have you seen with that?
Yeah, just people don't count it or the manager counts it, so it's not right in the software. It's so easy to give people a box and pocket that money.
Yep.
Locks just magically never add up. It's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
In most of the softwares, it's real easy to print the inventory list and go count to make sure that's what's in the office.
Yep.
And you also, when you get an inventory shipment in, you need to add it to your software and at the cost you paid, because that affects your financials, that affects your cost of goods sold and your
Sure.
inventory. So, yeah, inventory never, ever, ever adds up. It's the wildest thing. And that we don't have much inventory.
Well, I was just saying, it's not like we have 50 SKUs of different items and all
No.
that. You got your couple of locks, you got your boxes,
Yeah.
and then you have other things. But that's 80% of what you're going to be selling is locks and boxes.
Yeah, it's such a
And
small amount.
and yet, if you don't have a proper accounting to begin with, and then
Right.
and more importantly, put it actually, that's what I've seen a lot is exactly what you said is the inventory you have is not even ever entered correctly into the software to track it
Yep.
in the first place.
Yep.
And sometimes I think maybe not for the fault of the manager, maybe they're thinking there's good customer service. So, here, take a lock. It's okay. If it's part of a moving process, a moving special, that's different. But I've seen managers being lackadaisical when it comes to it's just a box, it's just a lock. That adds up. You're still paid for that inventory. This is a business, and you want to be making revenue
That's right.
off of that income. And so I've seen that. That's a silent killer to me. I've seen. I won't name names, but there was a manager that just went a field day of charging for the locks, but said it's this is a cash only sale because we don't do a sales tax. She had some kind of cockamamie excuse, but then she would give them the lock, pocket the cash, and that went on, from what I could tell, years unchecked.
Oh.
And then I came in to do the consultation at that time before they hired us as a manager company, and I'm like, oh, you got some issues here. And one thing I've seen, I don't know if you could attest to this, if you've come across this when it comes to doing your audits and sites, and that's auction money.
Mm-hmm.
You come across that?
Yeah. Well, and jump back to audits just for
Sure.
lot inventory for 1 second, because the sales tax on the inventory, most states you have to pay sales tax on any sort of movable item, which would be locks and boxes.
Yep.
Rent, it's state by state. Like Louisiana's not, New Jersey is, Florida is, Texas isn't.
Yeah.
So know your state. But if you are collecting sales tax or obligated to, even if you don't collect it, if you're obligated to collect sales tax and you're not paying it in properly, it can be the biggest nightmare of your entire life. I have a customer, I have somebody I'm working with now. I won't say the state and I won't say who she is, but she's told me I can use her as a learning experience. And she had a manager for 10 years. She trusted this woman, you know, she was there for 10 years. She was family. And this lady was just taking full advantage of her. And the law changed during the 10-year period. So rent became subject to sales tax, as was inventory. But the lady never remitted any sales tax for 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she's still fighting the battle of trying to get all this straight. And this poor owner she didn't know, she trusted her. It was just a really bad situation. So she's trying to clean up the mess now that has been 10 years old. It's just so you do not want to play around with sales tax and payroll taxes.
I'm just imagining the fees the IRS is.
Well, and it's the state. It's individual. It's a state issue. So, yeah,
even
it's
still,
not...
The fees that they got to be going through, just, I probably outweighs what they owe.
It's not your money. You have no entitlement to it, and you withheld from a governmental entity at that point. So make sure your sales tax is right. Yeah. It's a big issue. Anyway.
Good.
That's my little piece. But yeah.
And when it comes to sales tax, usually it's not, it's usually not that huge of an amount.
It's not.
But the amount of pain in the ass that you have to go through if you don't file it.
Yeah, if you're not doing it right. And I have customers that they don't charge sales tax or collect it. And I've told them, I'm like, I don't do their accounting or anything. I said, you should. And they talked to their CPA and they said, I'm like,
they'll come back and bite them.
Yeah. I said, look, I told you should. Like, it's in writing. You know, I can't make anybody do it. But
you're done. Yep.
Yeah, sales tax is a big deal. Auctions too. Auctions is a big deal. So auctions, you have you go, they're late, right? So you go out, you cut the lock, and you video it or take a picture or have two people, or whatever your process is to make sure that it's proper.
Sure.
And then once you open it up and you look at the contents, most states you don't walk in. I know Louisiana you don't. Correct. Some states you do, I think. But I think you pretty much stand on the outside.
Yep.
And then you close it. And then this is where the trouble gets. So you put your company lock on it, but you also need, and you can tell me what you like. I like when people put those wire tags.
The seal, yep.
That lock in, and you can't take them off unless you cut them, and they're serial numbered.
Yep.
That's my preference. So I see a lot of people don't have those wire tags, which means anybody with a company lock key can go in that unit at any time and take whatever they want. And then it's you went in, no you went in,
yeah,
you went in. That's the first issue, that they're so cheap. Just get a wire tag and put it on and write the serial number down. And then before the actual auction, make sure the serial number matches. I was doing an audit one time and I saw the maintenance person who lived on site. He had an auction door wide open and he was in there moving stuff. So I called the owner and I said, I don't know what's the status of this. It's listed as auction on your worksheet. Sure. She's like, he's been doing that.
Not again.
Yeah, not again.
Yeah, and that's, I get stories about owners doing that crap. Because I used to have an auction business. Mm-hmm. And which is why I started in the first place. I saw there's so many things that was just doing wrong. I mean, we can do a whole episode on proper auction proceedings, but when I want to get to back with the audits and the cash, that's the main thing. The day of the auction, especially if you're doing live auctions.
Yes.
You're doing live auctions. That's a cash only sale, and I've conducted auctions wherein it's been 10 plus units. I've had 10 grand in cash sitting there that have come in from that auction day. And whenever you got that much cash in front of it, it's tempting.
It is.
So you got to have those checks and balances of what's going on and make sure, of course, the regional needs to be there, not just say, okay, the manager, you got it handled, go at it.
Right.
You
have somebody else there.
Yeah. You need those two parties.
Yeah.
You know, the cash doesn't sit around, because that's what I've seen. Is we're sitting there giving all these ideas to managers of how to steal. So hopefully, use this for good, not for evil. What we're seeing here, but
how to steal 101.
Exactly. Maybe there's a new training course.
Drive a Ferrari next week.
This is what I've seen. You got that cash, and that unit sells for $500 in an auction. They pocket $200, and they say it sold for $300. And this is all paper receipts, and you're just going off of what is put in the computer. You need that supervisor there. They're the ones are
and at least have like a serial numbered receipt book where you can match that there's never a missing number in the receipt book, and then have the customer sign as well as the manager to say, yes, I gave them this much. So if it's a different price, they can, at least sign it. You kind of have to have somebody else there. I even went to an audit one time. A management company ran the property. The district manager was there at auctions. And we happened to see, they had happened to just do an auction. We happened to see the paperwork, and I was counting petty cash, and there was money in the petty cash, but it had somebody's name on the envelope. So we started questioning, and they said, oh, that's our 10% auction fee that we as the management company take in cash that we don't deposit for doing the auctions. But that was never in the contract.
That's not a contract,
Anywhere. Now, this could have been an agreed, I don't know, but it wasn't in the contract, so I brought it up to the owner of the property, and they were like, we don't like this. It needs to be deposited. We'll write them a check for 10%. So it was just one of those, this is our fee, to the district manager. Now, I don't know if the higher-ups knew, the district man, you kind of just have to make sure everything's in line, and there's auctions are a big, big, big risk for sure.
It's huge. I think maybe the last one, just due to our time here, I want to be respectful. Another issue I really see is fees, waiving fees.
Yes.
I think that's one of the big ones that comes up when it comes to stealing and embezzling. So, what have you seen with that?
People come pay in cash. They owe $100, $90 rent, $10 late fee. They waive that $10 late fee, pocket $10, rents in the computer. None the wiser. The customer didn't realize their receipt had credit on it.
I think that's probably the number one that I see, because it is so frequent, so easy, and usually people that are, not going to be generalists here, but the ones that are late and continue late tend to pay in cash. I've seen that correlation. And so that's a big red flag. And a lot of this, do your job. You hire an auditor to come in and really, tear it apart. But 99% of this can really be seen if you're diligent on your monthly reports. And if your software is any decent, it'll have a list of audit reports that you can pull that will say, here's some red flags of what to look at. And then you can investigate from there. But click of a button, it will at least help raise some of the questions of something could be off here, and then you can do some more investigating.
That's right.
So it's I forget, was it just like 2 months ago, I was talking to an owner, and we asked him what software he had, and it was SiteLink, as many of them have, and we were going through it. And I'm like, okay, what's your monthly reporting schedules like? And he told me it was just basically a management summary, and that was it. Like, pull an audit report, and we got those? I'm like, oh, so we showed him, and it was just like the light bulb went off. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And it's not just, most of the softwares will have that, but it's just, again, simple thing of pulling that report, and then spending 10 minutes, for an extra 10 minutes a month looking at those reports can save you, as you can attest, thousands and thousands of dollars if something's
so much money and so much headache. It's and you have to know how to read them and what reports to look at. And I know SiteLink has unlimited, it seems, of reports. And how do I look at this, and how do I read these reports? So I know the exceptional report's a good one. There's special audit reports like you were talking about, credits and discounts. If you start seeing payments deleted, why in the world was payment deleted, what happened. And sometimes there's a legit reason. I typed in the check number wrong, so I deleted it and redid it.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's a policy thing of anything ever being changed like that. You make it a contingent upon of having a note as to why.
Right. Exactly. So just pay attention. Don't trust your manager too much. I mean, trust but verify, right? Like somebody else told me, you inspect what you expect. So if you expect certain things, you need to inspect them. You need to have a policy and make sure it's followed through.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time again to
talk
no
problem.
Today. This has been fun.
No problem. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do.
You're such a nerd.
I know. That and accounting. Jeez, so fun.
So how do people get a hold of you?
They can go to my website, selfstoragecpa.com. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me. They can email me. It's Magen, Magen, at selfstoragecpa.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. We'll do this again.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. Take care.
Bye.
Go to 3miledomination.com/call to schedule your free 30-minute marketing tune-up call. I'll give you solid advice you can easily implement with or without us. Until next time.